episode 30 of the Zeens and Roger Crochet podcast. I am Rosina. Hello, how are you? Are you okay? I'm filming this again because I've done it all already once and I haven't even watched back half of the stuff I did because I was a misery guts. And I don't want you to see me being a misery guts. So I'm recording again and I'm going to be more cheerful. And I've refueled on lunch and chocolate. And I've got a cup of tea, so I should be alright. I think maybe I was a bit hungry, a bit bunged up, and feeling sorry for myself. And that just won't do. So, hello. I'm sat slightly askew because the cat sat in my spot. And rather than move her, although she might jump down in a minute, rather than move her, I've decided to budge up because that's the kind of person I am. I'd rather not move her. She looks very cosy, but she is sitting on my wall, so I'm just trying to chop and change that a little bit. Sorry, my darling. Right, okay. So without trying to, pardon me. Sorry, it's not a good start. Without being, without having a face like thunder, I will talk about crochet in a nice, happy, jolly way. And I will try very hard not to repeat myself. You won't know I'm repeating myself. No, I mean, what happens if I forget something because I think I've talked about it but haven't? I don't know. Hang on a sec, sorry. I've just remembered I'm going to ask you a question. Actually, I was going to ask you a question at the end, so I've just written it down to remind me to ask you, but I'll ask it now. Just because it's on my mind. When it comes to patterns and written patterns that you buy from Ravelry, for example, I want to know, I'll do a little survey, what do you look for in a pattern? Do you like a chart? Do you not use a chart? Do you ever actually, because I think some people might just ignore them. Is it worth my while doing a chart? Because they can take ages to do. But sometimes when I'm putting a pattern, the written instructions might not be clear, but the chart with the written instructions make it all completely clear. Tell me what your preference is, because only because I want to know. I mean, it may or may not affect the way I write patterns in the future. I don't know. I know that not all my patterns will always have a chart purely because I do them all by hand. In that I use stitchfiddle.com, and you pick up a stitch with your mouse and you plonk it on a page, and then you kind of like move the mouse as to where the stitch goes. I don't have any fancy software. That's the only thing I use, and Stitchfiddle is free up to a certain amount of patterns and then you pay an annual subscription or whatever. But still, if I can avoid doing one, I will. And I'll only do it if I think it's actually beneficial. Anyway, that was like kind of like a brain, I don't like the term brain fart, but that's sort of what that just was. So anyway, let's start the episode properly. I shan't waffle today. I've got enough to talk about. Really. So let's start with, I have got stuff I could talk about, but I think that was partly my sort of, my grump before, was that I'll do it in a nicer way. I don't want to talk about it. I can't be bothered. Rather than sort of go, oh no, everything's rubbish. I was just like, I'll just leave it. But it's not. Not everything is rubbish. This is not a good start again. Stop it. Right. Finished object number 1 is this hotchpotch granny bag. And I had the body done last time, which is following my hotchpotch tutorial that I've got on YouTube, but instead of using double knit like I've used for all the mini purses that I've shown you in the past, this is Aran weight acrylic, and then I finished it off with a few rows of half half treble crochets, or half double if you're in the US, just to make a nice sort of bag size. I like the fact that both sides are different, because I mean it's all beyond my control really, but since then I have attached the handles, which I love, and I've lined it and put a magnetic thingy on it. So it's just lined with some navy fabric, which is a bit like, I think it's just like sheet fabric, but I'm going to unpick that because it's just, I've just done one layer of lining, that blue, and then it's got interfacing, and I forgot to do the second, because I used interfacing and because I was excited and rushing as usual, I forgot to do the outer linings, so that when you look through here all you can see is interfacing, not an attractive neat lining. So I'm cross that I did that, but it's not going to be too much of an issue and it won't take too long to change it. That's hand stitched on. I machined the lining, but then I've tucked it in and hand stitched around the top. So probably it's not going to be too hard to unpick that and then tuck in the new lining. And when the new lining is in, I'll also rethread the handles, because they are only going through the crochet, not any fabric. And I think it'll be a much stronger bag if I go through that outer lining as well, put back this new lining with the clasp in it, and then hand stitch it in place so you can't see any of that gubbins inside. That's what's going to happen. And then I shall post it to my sister, because it's her birthday next week. And she messaged me the other day. Well, I put it on Instagram, and she sent me a WhatsApp and went, I want that bag. So just, you can have it then, because I have got, as you know, I've got so many bags that I don't need. Although I really like that one, but I don't need any more bags. But I really like that one. I can always make another one, can't I? So that's one finished object, and then the other one is sort of finished, almost finished, and it's this one. I've just got to do the handle a bit, like go back with some single crochets to make the handle a bit stronger. It's a little kiddie purse, not my standard fare, and I have made up this pattern because it's for my niece who's just had her second birthday. I thought her birthday was next week, which is why it hasn't been gifted to her yet. She's only 2, so I thought that was quite a nice size. It is just a circle of crocheting around like you do amigurumi, and the same on the back, but actually for the front the last round was no increases, and then I did 2 rounds of no increases on the back, just so it had more kind of space within. And the eyes and nose and embroidery have been hidden by a circle of felt I've stitched in, and I put some stuffing in there as well, just so you can't feel the humply bumplies of the eyes and nose as much, and so that it's also sort of more facey. She's jumped off now. She's seen this. She's not impressed. I think there's some birds out there she's looking at. She's a bird pervert. So all I've got to do is, I think, well, I'll try just like single crochets down one side. Oh, shall I do the back bumps? I should probably do the back bumps to be a bit neater. Takes longer though, doesn't it? But the results are better. Where are the back bumps? They're there somewhere. There's the first one. Oh, awkward space. I shouldn't do this now. And then what I'm going to do is between its ears I'll sew in a popper so that it can be fastened closed. I can't get this back bump, because otherwise all our little bits and bobs will fall out if I don't put a little popper in. I did think about one of those magnetic things, but I think they'll be too bulky on this. Oh, I can't do that and talk at the same time. Psh. So that's nearly ready to be posted off. And the ears were dead easy. There's just I think, can't remember, when I was on my final round, I think in one stitch it was like let's do American, single crochet, half double, double, chain 2, slip stitch in the second chain, and then in the next stitch what am I doing American again? 1 double, 1 half double and 1 single crochet in the next, and then back to, I think I slip stitched between the ears, and then did the same for another ear. I don't think, I mean, they're not reinforced, and I don't think, because they're only little, I don't think I'll bother. But I could probably have extended that felt, but actually I didn't think about that at the time, so I didn't. So that's that. So neither of those things are completely finished, but they're sort of finished. Another sort of finished thing. No, I have no more sort of finished things. I've got works in progress. I took this out with me last week. This is another mesh bag. And now I've got, along with this thing, which I'm going to remove these handles because I think it's just, it's been a week, I haven't got over it. It's been 2 weeks, I haven't got over it. So the handles are coming off, and I'll rip back a couple of rows, and then I've got 2 different stages then of being able to demonstrate how to make this bag and the next steps. And then if I get a third ball, I can then record a whole tutorial about how to make the mesh bag. I've already got it as a written pattern on my blog, but it doesn't hurt to do a tutorial as well. The green one, this is the progress I did when I went to a meeting in Exeter last week. I went to the Creative Business Network meeting, which is a monthly get-together for creatives in the area, and I have to say it's probably one of the best moves I've ever made to go to that, because it's hugely motivating to go and speak to loads of other people who are also working from home and spend a lot of time with their cat or their dog and not many other people, because you're self-employed, you're working from home, and sometimes it can be a little bit soul destroying, and also you sort of end up lacking loads of motivation, and you don't really know where you'll go. You stop sort of knowing what your direction is and stuff, which happens to me all the time. So I go to this monthly thing and I have a massive kick up the arse, and then I come back and I'm like ready to go again. It's just a massive boost. And so if you've got something like that in your area, I would strongly suggest you go, whether or not it's just like, whether or not people are doing it for their job, or whether or not it's just a hobby like a craft group or whatever. Go, because they're brilliant, they're really helpful, the people are wonderful, and I'll link to the one I go to, and I'll link as well in the show notes on my blog the poster for the craft group that I'm setting up, and that starts at the beginning of June, and it's in my local town, and I'll put the poster online so you can check it out if you want to come along. So yes, feeling, all those sorts of things are really good, really helpful. And it's interesting because I read a book the other day, a novel called Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, and it was a wonderful book and got nothing to do with crochet or anything like that, and it's actually to do with loneliness. And nobody ever talks about loneliness very much. So these kind of craft groups and these community get-togethers are brilliant, and it was, I sort of, connected the dots. But if there's a book that you would like to read, it's not for everybody. the main character is a huge pedant, which I quite like, because I like pedantry. I like to be pedant. Pedantry is good. It made me cry. I read it the weekend. It made me cry, but it made me laugh as well. So it's a good book. That was a massive tangent, wasn't it? Hadn't planned to connect those two things together. It's thrown me. Works in progress. Right. Do. I think, because I filmed it once, I've ticked everything. I've ticked all my boxes, so I don't actually know. I have to do some double ticking. Hotchpotch bag. Oh, I've got another finished object that I can't show you because I've sent it off. It's a commission, and it's quite a nice one, and it's very me. You'll know why when you see it. I don't know when that's gonna come out actually. Right, one more work in progress to show you, and that's my 80s jumper. I had all the yarn last week. It arrived, didn't it? And I think it arrived on that day or the day before. But I have got, it looks huge. I'm a bit worried. It looks enormous. This is the back. And the front is very similar, but lower front bit, neck bit. Bit worried that it's big. I think it'll all come together on the collar and the cuffs and all of that stuff. I'll fix it all then. And I've done a sleeve, which is worryingly wide. However, we're going for full on 80s here, so it's got to be angel wing styly, which I think that sort of fits the bill. They might be short quite. I was sort of aiming for 3/4 length, but I don't know what's going to happen when I put it all together. We'll see. But I need to do another sleeve and then put it all together and do the neckline, the hem. Is it called what? I struggle every time with what the bottom band is called. It's not a hem, is it? Is it a hem? Brim? Rim? You know, all those bits. I'm going to take my time over that. I desperately don't want to muck it up because I think it might be really cool. It'll either look really cool or I'll just look like somebody's lost granny. It's based on, I talked about this last week, this book has got, I won't go through them again, but it's got some absolutely nuts patterns in it. But I've gone for this one. I haven't followed it in the end. I've completely gone off piste because I did the swatch and mine measured twice the size of the actual one in here, and rather than try and match it and fix it, because obviously the drops melody that I'm using is the main colour, this stuff is so fluffy that I mean, it had it the same meters per grams, but this is just got extra fluff. I mean, it's so fluffy, so fluffy. It comes up really thick. So instead of like trying to follow this pattern, I have made up a new stitch. And I haven't made up a new stitch, I've just used a new stitch. I'm using what's called the spider stitch, which is essentially like a V-stitch. She's outside now, what's she doing? There's so many birds about, she's having a great time. I'm using a V-stitch, which is single crochet, chain one, single crochet in the same stitch. That drop stuff gets everywhere. It's probably a good job. I get to wipe off half of this eyeliner I put on. I put on way too much. I was hoping you wouldn't notice. So yeah, no longer am I following this pattern, but these schematics are really helpful because they've got measurements. So I'm kind of following those. they're giving me a good kind of gauge, a good idea about the size I should make it. And I was also laying the pieces up against another jumper I've got, just sort of trying to match them. And generally flying by the seat of my pants. So hopefully I'll have it finished by next time. And hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it'll look like the vision I have in my head. So, Crochet Style by Sally Harding. I think you can still get it online. These are my contrast colours. These are not Drops Melody. These are the ones I got from Venice that I mentioned last time. And on the label it had Silk by RVA, and I think that's the name of the actual yarn, and then the brand is Neveline or Neveline. I don't know if I've got the label somewhere. Well, I have got the label somewhere, but I don't know. It's not in my bag of tricks. I bought 9 of these, but actually I think I'll only use 6 or 7. And I've got one sleeve to do, and I've got plenty. I'm sure I've got plenty. I'm calling the jumper Vivian in Venice, because I bought that yarn in Venice. And I will give you 10 points if you can tell me who Vivian is and why I'm calling it Vivian. I don't know what that face is, like a witch's face. So yes. Oh, I've lost my pencil. There it is. I made a promise. I didn't promise, but I said I was going to show my shawl that I've made, but I still haven't written up the pattern. And I haven't written up the pattern because I want to film a tutorial about how you make the edging first. And then if I do that, then because it's been a few weeks since I made it, if I film the tutorial, it will refresh my memory so that I'm better equipped to write down the pattern more confidently. That's an excuse. I'm just generally very lazy and want to make more things rather than finish off the things that I've already made. Let me give you a sneak peek though. It's a Crescent shawl and it's really long. Oh, I almost showed off too much then. And this is it's all in the border, this shawl. It's all about the border. I showed you what I had left over of the yarns I'd used. Got some mohair in there, the Ganser and the La Bien Amie. But that is all I'm going to show you. I'm going to record that tutorial. It will reinvigorate, refresh, and then I'll be able to write the pattern down. Then I'm going to get it tech edited, and then I'll be able to show it off. Oh gosh, it almost went in my cup of tea then. I missed it, thankfully. Right, okay. Last week it was my birthday, and I'm still not 40, which is good, but I will be next year, and it made me sad, which I know, I'm sorry, I apologise for, but meh. I didn't sulk for too long about my birthday because I had lots of lovely messages on Instagram about actually how being 40 is probably the start of one of the best decades that people have ever had, which sounds fabulous. So I started getting excited, and actually the way people painted it, it sounded very much like having a taste of freedom, which I like. It's my birthday mug, but you know me, I don't talk about mugs, so shut up. But it meant that I got some birthday money, and I've spent some of it on Oh no, it's over there. Right, hang on. Yes, I've spent some of my birthday money already. And on my actual birthday, I went on Etsy and I ordered 2 skeins of yarn. I've also ordered a new book, but I don't think that'll arrive for another week or 2, so I'll talk about that. Maybe I'll talk about that another time. The first one to arrive was Hedgerow Yarns, and this is called Georgia Rose, and it's silky twist, 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, and it's beautiful. And I bought it because it's high twist. And I loved working with high twist on that shawl, and so I bought some more. And I really wanted some pink yarn because I don't have any. All my yarn I've got so many greens and sort of brown shades that actually I'd like some complementary pink stuff to go with it. And so I chose Hedgerow Yarns, and I got with it a little 10-gram mini and a candle, which I thought was a nice touch, and a little lavender sachet, which I don't know where I've put. It's so nice getting little surprises. But I tell you, it's one of the reasons why I don't sell on Etsy at the moment, is because there's so much pressure to go above and beyond and do all these things. I suppose you incorporate in the price, of course you do, but people don't want to spend 40 quid on a blanket as it is, on a baby blanket, so to have to up the price because you've put in extras as well, it's just, I don't think it would ever happen. This is a little 75-25 superwash merino nylon mix, 10 grams, and it is called Corsage, and it's a beautiful, beautiful skein actually, lovely, and a little candle. I'm getting my smell back now, which is great. All weekend, everything I ate was nothing. It tasted nothing. It was all about texture. It didn't stop me eating chocolate though, because the chocolate texture is quite nice, isn't it? So that was Hedgerow Yarns, which I've never bought from them before. And so far so good. It looks beautiful. And then the other one arrived this morning. Actually, it was the afternoon. It was about 12:30 it arrived. Less than an hour ago. A navy blue skein, and it's I would say semi-solid navy blue. Night's Watch it's called, and it is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. From Family Tree Yarns, and it's just what I wanted. And actually, I think that might be a high twist as well. They've got that. When I say high twist, I mean it looks like you can see 2 plies being. They look twisted. That's high twist, isn't it? That's what they both are. Because some yarn isn't like that. Like this isn't like that at all. I mean, yeah, you can see it all twisty, but it's not like really obviously so, whereas these ones are. Well, this one certainly is, and this one's well on its way. I don't want to look too deeply into it. I've got a little business card with that one. Family Tree Yarns. Oh, they're on Instagram. I'll go and check them out. But it's an Etsy. I got it from Etsy, and with that, got a tea bag and a little marker, which is a watermelon, but it's not for crochet because it's just a ring, which I could probably use for my knitted hat that I haven't progressed on. If I use that on the knitting, then I'll know where my round starts, because I haven't got any of those. Well, I didn't have this morning, but now I do, and I was thinking about getting one, so that's good. I think that is it for now. I think that was probably quite a short episode, but that's alright, isn't it? That's fine. Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you again next time, probably in about 2 weeks. Cheerio, bye bye.